So here we're back for 8.4b. Diagonal. The diagonal connects any vertex to another vertex. So there's a diagonal right there connecting a vertex to a vertex. Quadrilaterals have two diagonals. That's fairly obvious. Couldn't draw more than that. Diagonals of a rhombus are perpendicular. So if it's a rhombus, that means all four sides are congruent. That means these diagonals are going to be perpendicular. And diagonals of a rectangle are congruent. So diagonals of a rectangle, these two sides here are equal in length. Up here we said diagonals of a rhombus are perpendicular, but they also bisect each other, which makes that segment equal to that segment, and that segment equal to that segment. They're bisecting each other. So sketch a square. We got our square EFGH, sketch the right, list everything you know about it. We know all sides are congruent. We know angles are congruent and equal 90 degrees. All these are 90-degree angles. All the sides are congruent. What else do we know? Well, a square is a special rhombus, and a special rectangle, therefore the diagonals are congruent. We know diagonals bisect each other. So let's see if we can get a different color for that. So that piece will be equal to that piece, and this piece will be equal to that piece. Diagonals are congruent also. What else do we know? Angles equal 90. All sides are congruent. Oh, opposite sides are parallel. Savannah, anything else we know about these? Opposite sides are parallel and congruent. Angles are congruent and equal to 90. Diagonals are congruent. And I think that's about all we know on this, isn't it? Savannah agrees, but maybe you have another suggestion. Send us any feedback in the video summary. Moving on, though. You are building a case with glass shelves for collectibles. Each side is 24 inches. Could be a square or it could be a rhombus in this case, right? Given the shelf measurements in the diagram, can you assume that the shelf is a square? I'd have to say, what would you say, Savannah? Can I assume this is a square? We'd need right angles to assume that's a square, so I'd have to say no. Might be a what? A rhombus. How do you spell rhombus? There you go. I think that's how you spell rhombus. So it might be a rhombus. We don't know that the angles are 90 degrees, so we can't assume it's a square. Of course, the angles might not even be opposite angles, might not even be a parallelogram. You measure the diagonals, but opposite sides are congruent, so we know it's a parallelogram. So you measure the diagonals and find they are both 33.94. Oh, the diagonals are congruent. Diagonals are congruent, thus it is a rectangle. And it's a special rectangle called a square, because the sides are all congruent also. And that concludes our video. Have a wonderful weekend.